Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is your New Eden news for February 5th, YC127. Capsuleer efforts lead to influenced improvements as crisis continues. Capsuleers have successfully completed more than 7,000 operations against the drifters. Thanks to this, military forces are ready to deploy more effective intel as a second wave of crisis sites have begun to appear. These superior intel networks are bolstered by additional support from the SOCT. According to Elder Mentor Metashi Reich, quote, the Society will be working alongside the Amar, Caldari, Galente, and Minmatar response teams to purge this threat, end quote. The SOCT has used intel gathered by Capsuleers to develop superior hyperspace tracking. These improvements will remove the negative impact of failed operations and boost the positive influence of successful operations. Of the 7,250 and rising operational successes, the Caldari state has shown a great number of triumphs against the drifters so far. Chairman Akimaka Saraki commended Capsuleers for their support, citing, quote, a tradition of discipline and a strong understanding of duty, end quote, as the reason for their rapid responses. By contrast, Minmatar Republic citizens have suffered and their military forces were caught off guard. Clan's commons have been targeted by destructive scrutinizers, which use intensive radiation to visit a variety of nightmarish conditions on those trapped inside. The climbing death toll from these attacks have been a grim reminder as to the drifters' destructive capabilities. In anticipation of a repeat of these tragedies, Clan peoples in the newly targeted systems of Nian, Giffer, and Hadazeko have begun to flee. This unplanned exodus has resulted in confusion and putting more pressure on the emergency services. Many more, however, refuse to give up their homes. A clan chief based in Hadazoko told the Scope, quote, for generations we have fought the greedy advances of these damn Imperials. We are not going to roll over now and give them away our homes to these monsters without a hell of a fight, end quote. Headman General Kenneth Filmer, who is responsible for overseeing the Tribal Liberation Force activities in the system, has called on Capsuleers to, quote, aid in the defense of our clans, join in the work already being done, and push back the drifter forces. Another system that is caught in the second wave of Drifter Crisis is Tash Murkon, home system of the royal house of the same name. This Armarian system was the birthplace of Empress Katniss I herself. In a public statement, the Empress declared, quote, we Amar are one in the eyes of the Lord, and there is no system our military service people would not die to defend. We must all band together to support every system under attack, end quote. Sources inside the Imperial Palace has reported that despite this statement of equal support, the Empress has begun attending every military briefing regarding Tash Murkon in person. Throughout the royal houses, concerns have been loudly shared over how the Empress will react should her childhood home fall victim to continued drifter attacks. News in brief. SOCT firmware updates promises the possibility of greater retrievals from observatory infiltrations. Almost 20,000 Navy service people sent joint international messages of thanks to Capsuleers who saved them following anti-drifter actions. SOCT scientists have rejected theories founded on new gleaned data from unmoored observatories, calling data too corrupted and potentially falsified. Concord launches investigation into IGC corruption following last year's Garissus AT-20 sponsorship. And Capsuleers split over Deathless Circle defense as many support criminal research facilities. Mind Clash tournaments in Nabali go ahead as planned, despite fears of drifter attacks on venues. That is it for the New Eden News. Now some analysis. Obviously, all of this is in relation to the ongoing drifter attacks. There was one wave of drifter crisis events that resolved without any of them being completed by players, mostly because of the fact that it was too easy to cause negative damage to the progress by failing a site, and it took too little progress when you finished a site. So that's one of the things that they're addressing here, is that now we will be getting more progress per site completed and less progress lost, or no progress lost when sites are failed, allowing the actual progress of the crisis itself to progress all the way to its conclusion without timing out. And we've already seen with the next wave of crisis events that this is in fact the case, as most of them have risen to at or around 50% or more in 2 days, meaning that they will most likely complete by the end of the sequel, or the cycle. Now, they have called out many of the systems that are being invaded by name, and we're talking about the consequences therein. So not only are there rewards for running the sites, lucrative rewards for running the sites and completing the sites, but they're trying to emphasize through this New Eden News that there is an in-universe ramification of it. They're also trying to push back, it seems, against this narrative that there wasn't a lot of interest in the drifter sites, stressing that over 7,000 operations were done during the first 4-day cycle of the drifter operations. So people are running them for sure, and they're trying to increase the interest in that through this New Eden News post. But also, we now have several key targets that they're emphasizing lore-wise for us to pay attention to. If you're interested in helping out the Empress and her effort, they have clearly signaled that the crisis in Tashmerkon, which is at like 40% as of this reading, that one's particularly important to her. Likewise, there is a site, they're specifying that the site here, Hadazeko, right? We have the Hadazeko here with, where was it? We have a clan chief based in Hadazoko told the scope, for generations we have fought. So we know that while there are Mimitar that are attempting to escape the various systems, there are people making a stand specifically in Hadazoko. So the progress of those two crises may in fact have ramifications in the storyline ongoing, but we'll have to see. That's something that we're going to pay attention to see whether or not CCP can follow up with these things. In addition to that, we also see the SSCT firmware showing that we're getting extra doodads from the observatory infiltrations. They've increased the amount of loot in the observatory infiltrations by like 5 to 10 times. So they're pretty lucrative now. In addition to that, again, like this 20,000 Navy service personnel, they're trying to emphasize to people, hey guys, people are running these sites and they are appreciated by the baseliners within the universe. This is something that is having an impact in the universe that we can reflect on, which is a lot of what this whole RP or lore and all that sort of stuff is that like, it's not just about the ISK that we earn, it's about the effects that we have on the universe itself. Finally, like this thing about the SOCT calling the glean data too corrupted and potentially falsified. The new glean data that has come out of these sites seem to show the best representation that we've ever had of things from the Shrouded Days and the Second Jovian Empire. The SOCT has recently been kind of called out a little bit by Yosef Akata, also known as the Deathless, as his records of his history showing that he actually came from the SOCT and left the SOCT because he was tired of the hindrances that they imposed upon him. They have been kind of very manipulating this whole situation, pushing their own narrative, and this feels like another piece of it. They want us to not only help against the drifters and against the Deathless, but they also want us to not pay as much attention to the man behind the curtain, suggesting that a lot of this information that might be coming out now and soon is falsified. I wouldn't necessarily beat into it. The SOCT are not as blameless as they come across. And the other thing, oh yeah, also we see the Mind Clash tournament in Nabali. So since we know that this is going ahead as planned, depending on how the Nabali crisis ends up, that we will want to see whether or not that has any effect on the Mind Clash stuff. But this is still very early days for the Drifter crisis. They seem to be escalating. There is new pieces of information, including new images coming from inside of the Drifter virtuality that have been discovered by players since this missive was put out. So this is an ongoing situation. This is the analysis for today, but please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As more information comes out, we will get it to you because that's what I'm here to do, is put even in context for you, my fellow Empyreans, and keep us all up to date. So that said, thank you all for watching. I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space.